That's why you can never really condone violence either.
No.
Just because I wouldn't subscribe to the whole point of the end justifies the means. I wouldn't necessarily. Oh, we're getting into dodgy territory there now. If we're talking about end justifies.
Now this is you'll see.
You're a moral consequentialist.
Consequentialist.
So you believe morality is driven by outcomes. Something is judged to be good or bad or neutral based on what the end product was.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, interesting.
Our history justifies the violence of our war of independence. We do horrible things during that.
Yeah.
The British, the Black and Tans did horrible stuff. Collins' squad was ruthless.
Yeah.
Executing
British spies.
Yeah, in front of family members at some stage. That is heinous crimes. But when you're doing it under the guise of we have no freedom, these people come you can know. This is more like the problem with revolutions, rebellions. When you're fighting
it's a fine line.
It is, but when you're literally fighting for the most just cause imaginable, the right for a country to rule itself, you can nearly justify anything.
Oh, that's
nearly. But it seems there's no grande.
Let me put it this way: I can absolutely see what radicalized them, but that doesn't necessarily justify. Their radicalization.
But in the moment you can. Like in the moment of rebellion, when you feel like that the only way to finally make your nation independent is to only fight at arms.
If you're a pacifist, you believe you're never going to achieve anything really by using violent means, and the best way to do it is actually go about it diplomatically.
But I feel like okay,
it'd be like going to war with North Korea instead of trying to solve things
in the current day and age. Probably pacifism, yes. But if you went back 100 years, it'd be unreasonable to be a pacifist.
Not necessarily. But again, India was mostly.
That was during the 50s and 60s. I say even between the 20s and the 60s, you had such a massive gap that between them World War II happened, and then nations adamantly made it like a point, we can never let those circumstances happen again. That's where pacifism became more popular. But during the 20s, you had the Britain just finishing up a world war, and their main form to make sure another one didn't happen was to force Germany to have the worst reparations imaginable.
Yeah.
And in that kind of mentality, people only started realizing then that war is a horrible thing. Like when going into World War One, they still had this.
But
it's the mentality of the day and age.
But it's not that they were blissfully ignorant and unaware of the pain and suffering that it was causing. It's not like this. There was suddenly a lot. I get what you're saying, right? Yeah. Obviously, there was a shock element to the first one where they were like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah,
this is really bad.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say before that we just kind of shrugged off any form of military uprising. We didn't just go, oh sure, this is grand, sure people are dying around us, sure this is grand, it's not a problem. There's obviously there were still people who believed before World War One, World War Two that kind of violence is not justified.
Yeah.
Definitely
but I say they were more a minority, but where now they're a majority.
Believed going around gunning people that obviously they did because they were radicalized, but
yeah.
But they genuinely believe.
Well, it's also when people going into World War One, they were still being bought in this kind of the honor of combat, the honor of fighting for your nation. They thought it was going to be over in 6 months, and that was destroyed afterwards. Everything before then, you still had that kind of honor bound of serving your nation.
They were radicalized as well in a different way.
But it's you can also make the equivalent of how the American military has been radicalized, and I know you can in one perspective, but that was kind of humans' understanding of warfare. If you go back before World War One, the honor bound of military, that's the common. That's just taken as the rule of law nearly at that stage. And where you had the two main reasons, multiple reasons to fight wars: to gain more territory, to expand your nation, the honor bound, to be honourable, to fight for your nation, all that bollocks, or to achieve independence from colonial power, from an oppressive ruler, or from a fucking tyrannical government. Today, you could never accept
the method and means that they went to, the ends that they went. It's hard to justify that even in a historical context. I feel like it is. I feel like it is. I can totally understand when you it's difficult. When you've been oppressed so much and you feel like you have your rights and freedoms taken away, I can totally understand what leads people to be radicalized in that way.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure even they themselves were like. You think it wasn't on their conscience at all, going around murdering, British spies in front of their family? Like, it must have played in their like, I don't think they just, cause of the historical
for the foot
this is grand. Like,
I say for the foot soldiers, that would probably can persist.
Yeah,
like the idea of like I'm going out to kill a man today.
I feel like that's going to persist. I feel like just cause historical context, they wouldn't have just kind of shrugged that off and been like, I'm going out to murder someone.
Those probably still go on, but even like.
Deep down,
the higher ups, I say, you could like when we had like kind of like Amy DeValera, Michael Collins, Arthur Griffith kind of leadership. Arthur Griffith was was a firm pacifist at the time. Cottle Brewer that tried leadership.
So there was a bit of pacifism as well.
I think Arthur Griffith was the only one though.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. You're saying they're in the minority.
But like when it comes to like the higher leadership territory, I say they could easily justify a lot of the actions they were given to the foot soldiers because the idea. Oh, they were fighting behind because of the leadership.
That's what ISIS do, though.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
But what truly separates in the activities of the Irish, like Ireland's fight for independence and ISIS's fight?
It's people believing in a cause, and any means is justified by the end.
Yeah. And the only thing that truly separates kind of like Ireland's rebellion and ISIS's war of activity is the ideology background.
Yeah.
We were fighting for the right for the Irish people to rule our nation, and we were always see that as a just right.
Some people disagreed that it had to be done through violence.
Yeah.
The notion was around that we could explore diplomatic means. Again though, we mightn't be here today.
You're doing hypothetical
it's so hard,
what ifs.
But it's interesting to
I'm the belief for the War of Independence accelerate accelerate the time frame of when we'll be fully independent. Like when Home Rule was coming in, we were given feck all. But by fighting the British, we got Dominion status. We were treated the same as Canada, as New Zealand and Australia.
Yeah.
That was never on the table beforehand. That was immense, and I firmly believe conflict got us that, and accelerated the time frame until we became fully independent, no Dominion status, a Republic of Ireland, essentially. But again, if we went diplomatically, will we achieve the same goal just an extra 10, 20 years down the line?
Yeah, and how many lives could have been saved? That's the thing.
I know. I would prefer that.
At the time, it was difficult for them probably to ever see an end goal where they can achieve.
And also, why should we wait another 20 more years? Why shouldn't we should have this now?
Well, the reason you should wait another 20 years is to save thousands of lives.
Yeah,
but no,
But again, caught in the moment.
Yeah, no, I can actually easily see. How that's a scary thing as well. By opening up and being like, okay, well, I can understand how people get radicalized.
Yeah.
But I don't know if historical context necessarily justifies it.
But again, if you could say, bring us all back to when the conflict was brewing and all that, and so you went up to all the Irish leaders and literally told them, we can guarantee you the freedom of this nation. Without a single bullet being shot, you got to wait an extra 20, 30 years to do that. They would all agree, and they would all they would.
Yeah, and they genuinely thought they would never get to that.
Yeah,
diplomatically. Yeah,
yeah.
And some of them did, some of them didn't.
Yeah, but if you could literally give them the guarantee, the 100% assurance. I know, this is a hypothetical.
No, I mean, even if you could say, well, look, we don't know if we're going to get there diplomatically.
Yeah.
But we're going to save a lot of lives and a lot of brutal violence and a lot of fighting and a lot of war and unrest. I can totally see how they got radicalized.
I can totally see it. But these also weren't unreasonable people.
We've the benefit of hindsight as well.
Oh yeah,
we can look back and be like, oh yeah. Whereas it's difficult to imagine.
Yeah.
But obviously they felt they were never going to achieve those means diplomatically,
and
they were able to justify
the fact that we accepted Dominion status even showed that these people were not unreasonable. They knew that if we continue this fight, we're going to lose, and so many more people are going to die from it. We have to take what we can now and achieve what we want later.
Yeah.
The fact that we were in the signing agreement, the first place, showed that these leaders they understand reality, and you understand that there's no point throwing more bodies onto this fire if it's not going to achieve anything. Because if it came to stage where we didn't sign the agreement and Churchill got his way and put 250,000 British soldiers, we would have no relationship with the United Kingdom at this stage. It would have just destroyed it.
Yeah. It's difficult. It's a difficult subject. It depends whether you're a consequentialist or whether you believe the end justifies means or not.
I'm willing to back it in the extreme. for a nation that is oppressed and under colonial rule, that is the extreme. And I feel, but I think like that is my only chance. That's my only opportunity. The only scenario where I see the ends will justify the means. But everything else I could never go for. But again, I come from a biased standpoint because people sacrifice their lives so I could live in a nation that is free of colonial power.
Hold on. What do you mean by that?
That you had
no, but do you believe you owe it to them because they sacrifice
not it. I nearly feel like it'd be insulting. That
really?
I'd have to look back and going.
It's difficult. I know it's difficult.
I don't like the idea of essentially looking back of all the people that died for this country's freedom and just say
some people die for mad causes.
I know.
Yeah.
It is. It's mental cause. I don't like the idea of looking back in our history and looking back all the people that have died for this country's freedom.
You don't owe anyone anything just because they died because they believed.
I know that.
Yeah,
but I also don't like the idea of literally going up and thinking you wasted everything. Like there was no point of doing the violence because we could have done it peacefully. I don't like the idea that people died for technically nothing.
Okay, so basing your worldview on what you would like to be the case rather than what is the case.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll have to do a philosophical podcast where we. Geez. No, honestly, it's really interesting. Where you go over moral systems. And whether and that kind of thing,
everything,
and whether you believe on reality based on an ideal scenario or what's
all my beliefs and moral systems get thrown out the window when it comes to Ireland's context.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Every other context I'm willing to, but Ireland I just can't do it. I'm too nationalistically driven.
We're always talking shite about the American.
No, I know. But when it comes to this country, I'm too nationalistic.
You can never be. Oh no, hold on. I don't know the right way to word this, but. You have to really try and calm the emotions when you're talking about these kind of national things.
I know.
And you do. Yeah.
I try my best.
You know you do though, because you never get up in arms.
Oh no, exactly.
Exactly.
I know there's no point going into that, but when it comes to 1916, 1922, Easter Rising to our Civil War is when everything just goes out the window for me. I'd be as patriotic as an American when it comes
just for those 6 years.
I love a David versus Goliath story, and this is one essentially the hallmarks of human history.
But it must have been infuriating as well when you have a colonial power in your country, oppressing you, controlling you, deciding how your country is run, and you feel absolutely powerless to it, and you feel like you can't actually do anything and make life better for your citizens because you're not in control.
And again, by declaring a war, it puts agency. It makes these leaders feel like they finally have control of their nation again in its own twisted way. People unfortunately going to die, but it gives these people agency, and it gives this perspective of by a declaration of war in our minds. This isn't some ragtag rebels. It's the island of Ireland declaring war on Britain, and we want what we deserve. And then in the minds of Collins de Valera, of all them, they can see this is finally Ireland acting for Ireland. We are taking agency for our nation, and nothing that can never be taken from them. No matter how many people die, for every person that died in a conflict, they were in the firm belief of we're fighting for our country's independence. You could never take that from them. It's a whole image I die of a free man today.
And the thing is, do you think this is obviously this is obviously a weird way to put it. It's just an interesting question. I was going to say, do you think that the number of lives lost was outweighed by the number of lives that would potentially have been lost if we had continued under British rule? That's an impossible question. But I'm did they try and justify that by kind of believing themselves that more would have died or suffered?
I don't know.
Because
I don't
how
know.
else could you justify? How else could?
No, I think the justification was from the amount of life that has been lost.
The amount of lives that were lost because of it. Could they ever have justified that by thinking, well, the suffering and oppression and lives lost under British rule would have been greater? Otherwise, it's difficult to ever justify.
I don't think you could justify
it. Otherwise, right? You're equating Ireland ruling Ireland.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out a way to put this. Do you get what I'm saying? If you're not going to equate deaths to the potential negatives that we would have endured under British rule, for even how could they have? How could they have weighed it up like that otherwise?
I think it's more the justification from the suffering of the nation as a whole. It's more looking back on, look at the amount of people that suffered.
Oh, so
look
revenge.
At all. Yeah, kind of. It is. No, because I know. No. Back in 1919,
I have a big issue with that. Though.
Yeah, I say so. Yeah, but back in 1919, I don't think you can make the argument that the lives lost could ever justified by lives saved. Because I don't think we were going to lose future lives from colonial oppression.
Yeah.
But it's essentially looking at it's these people looking back in Irish history and going, look at the suffering, look at the loss, look at everything look at the ruins this nation has come to, look at everything we've lost. Can we really look ourselves in the face, going are their lives forever going to be lost in vain? Because every day we don't have our freedom. It's nearly an insult to all the loss that we've the oppression we've endured.
Don't blame the average British person today for the
famine.
And
I never will. I won't.
Them looking back at the famine and previous lives lost, it can never be justified by killing people in the present that haven't been responsible for past wrongdoings that were committed by other people.
But it was.
What do you mean?
Like if you take if you took away history, if you essentially went to the Irish leader and say, don't factor in historical context, I don't know how you could justify the violence.
That's my point.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
And how can you use historical context to justify killing people in the here and now when they weren't even alive when it happened? That'd be like us holding every German living today accountable for the world wars.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You can't operate like that.
And that's where my brain just gives up on me.
Yeah.
You're going like,
it's the patriotism, man.
I know it's unreasonable to even in 1919 to even hold the English alive today responsible for the crimes that was committed for their past.
Yeah,
that's completely
I could
unreasonable.
never go like, oh, feckin' Theresa May, you know.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
It was their fault.
Holding the British accountable 1919 accountable for not holding them accountable for not allowing Ireland to be independent. That you can do.
And I guess it just boils down to that. It's like they obviously felt that independence.
Yeah.
Even if British occupation
did not lead to future lives to be lost,
or even just hardships or suffering. Yeah. They must have believed that if they continue, are they just valuing pure sovereignty and weighing that with lives?
It's more the view of
pure sovereignty.
Yeah, essentially, Ireland will the Irish people will always have the best interests of the Irish. You can never say that about the English.
So only the power to choose how we govern ourselves, and not actual suffering or hardships. So it was pure sovereignty.
Yeah.
Which actually, it's difficult.
That's the founding.
I know.
This isn't also just Ireland. That's multiple nations.
It's extremely tough.
Yeah, and so many nations have been found no sacrifice is too great for the right for our right to rule.
Yeah, and you should never just accept tyrannical.
Yeah.
But if I guess just some people would argue it has to be done diplomatically, and it can always be done eventually diplomatically.
Today,
and some people will disagree, but I kind of do believe most things can be done diplomatically. But I mean, times have
also. Yeah, I feel like looking at the world how it operated at the dawn of the 20th century is not how we operate today.
But I mean,
some ideological viewpoints, like the idea of fighting, physically attacking people for your nation's independence, was seen as a viable way of achieving that back in the day. But now it's kind of the North can never be rejoined through conflict.
Yeah,
and I would never accept that. Today because we live in a different time.
And that's the thing. It's as I say, do we want a Northern Ireland right now by violence, which obviously would not end well for us anyway, or diplomatically, however long it takes. And we would now say diplomatically, however long it takes. And if the people of Northern don't want reunification, then so be it as well. But I get your argument about historical context, and I think it's important. But again, it's like I was saying, do you think they had a clear conscience murdering British spies in front of their families? I'm not so sure. I think they still knew deep down. Obviously, they had their ways of justifying it, and they did believe that their actions were justified.
The foot soldiers probably, but from my understanding of how Collins and De Valera worked, I doubt they lost.
They probably had so much hatred
and so much patriotism behind their backs. I feel
like that's dangerous, though. Even
it is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It can be.
Well, Collins is the example because he formed his squad and they were ruthless. But from my Collins is the one I followed the most.
Yeah.
Like for this, and I sincerely doubt he ever lost sleep on the order issues. And I say for most of the leaders, Archie Griffith probably would have been the most one because he was most, I say, empathetic. The most one, like grounding, going like grounding the whole thing.
Chill out here, lads. Yeah, that's why it's one of the most difficult like topics to cover and talk about in global politics historically.
Yeah,
it really is.
Well, you're calling
so tough. It's
because you call into question essentially the most powerful right that humanity has to offer, the right for the people to rule its own nation without the interference of a foreign power. That concept is the foundation of modern democracy. And when you start questioning it and going like, when is it too far to achieve that? What line is essentially you're willing to ring the cost? Like, when is the point where we've gone too far to give ourselves the right to rule? You call into question, going like, well, how? I can't think of any.
What was your rough point?
It's more like by calling into question, going like, how far should we go to achieve independence? You call into question, how just is a nation then to rule itself? How rightful is it? Because if there's a line, and then there has to be a line for how far that independence can go.
Yeah, because even different rebellions and uprisings, certain ones went further than others as well. So
and also done like horrible consequences, like the 1917 rebellion in Russia that led to the Soviet Union, done tremendous horrors to that country.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a mad kind of topic to cover, really.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy, and I feel like it'll offend a lot of people no matter what you say, really.
Definitely.
But yeah, because you're either like too patriotic or not patriotic enough.
It's like being realistic and thinking sound and logic. You should always be support of the diplomatic,
and it will take longer. Yeah. Or do you know what? Maybe not though. Maybe quick. It's maybe.
But again,
in a lot of ways.
But again, you should always have to say like, no life should ever be sacrificed. Again, for it, it's like
it's like trying to weigh sovereignty against actual cold hard lives. It's very difficult.
Like if there's a diplomatic option, it should always be used. The violent rebellion should be the last option. Like literally, like going like getting everyone together and going like, we have literally done everything and nothing can achieve us independence. Then is the only time you should start grabbing rifles and enlisting people for a war. But until you exhaust every option humanly viable, you should never be gunning down people for the sake of independence. Like that, this is my problem with the whole cultural fight that's going on in America. Like you have like the far left literally going like, the civil war is upon us. Like they literally think it's the end of America and everything's falling upon them. Going like, no, it fucking is. Like, I want to go into like, so you're telling me you've exhausted every diplomatic option you have. You are now literally said the only way we can achieve peace is by gunning down the opposition. Because honestly, I don't think you have, because your country should be in fire by the time that happens. Yeah. When it comes to Ireland, what happened during that war is wrong, but I'm still going to defend it.
I'm still going to just... Fair enough.
It's our timeline. This is what happened with us, and this nation was founded in blood, unfortunately. But again, horrible acts were committed, but in my eyes, for a just cause, and it did ultimately lead to this country's independence. Could you do it peacefully? You probably could have. Probably could have took longer. No one had to die. But unfortunately, this is still a hypothetical. Technically speaking, if there was still some diplomatic solution they could have went with, because home rule was never even introduced by the time 1916 happened. They were just sick of waiting, and they could have waited and find a peaceful scenario, or you could do the destiny concept, going like, we were destined to fight for this nation's independence, going like, no matter how long we dragged out the diplomatic process, Britain was never willing to give it up, give up this nation's sovereignty. To which case, but then say like the hypotheticals, going like, oh, we've tried every timeline, and every time we've ended in violence. That's the only time you could ever go like, well, it was unavoidable. But then that's like predeterminism.
Yeah.
Which is
I believe in determinism.
Well, the concept of free will is false, so you kind of do.
We have no free will.
Yeah. So
but we have the illusion of free will, which is just as good as having free will in essence.
Which you can use in the argument, the Irish contents, going like our illusion.
Hold on now.
Our illusion of free will could mean the diplomatic diplomatic routes.
Wait, what? Wait, hold on. What's that?
You could make the argument that the illusion of free will for Ireland's independence was that the diplomatic option was always there. So if we always chose diplomatic context, we were using our free will to avoid violence. But if that was merely the illusion, if diplomacy was an illusion kind of created, so we could essentially
I think you're
British
getting even more meta with this.
Yeah.
It's like, no, but what determinism is like, this is the only set of events that ever could have possibly happened.
Yeah.
This is the only set of, if you subscribe to the theory that this is the only universe in existence, the only timeline in existence, then this is the only possible way that things ever could have gone, and it's due to the laws of physics and nature. Therefore, everything that
has, will, and has, is, and will happen has already been determined.
And not even,
outside your control.
Has been determined. Not necessarily has happened yet, but has been determined already. If you could have it in theory, if you could have a supercomputer, that could just do the maths and everything. In theory, you'd be able to, if it could take into account itself, you could in theory predict everything that's going to happen in the universe. Quantum physics is a bit of a wrench in the works for that.
I wouldn't agree with that fully.
Do you believe in the multiverse theory?
No, I don't know, but like for the aspect of determinism, I might be okay with is that certain aspects of human history have to turn out that way. So like
that's getting very sci-fi.
Yeah, no, but I'm taking an easy territory here. Gay rights.
Yeah.
It would. I believe that like the only way that would end is for men to be allowed to marry men and women to be allowed to marry women.
It's inevitable.
That will always be inevitable. It might take longer, shorter, or all that, but that will always happen no matter what. A nation rebelling against colonial power, demanding independence, when it happens, can come into question. But that will always happen.
We've seen it happen diplomatically as well.
Yeah, well, both conflicts and diplomatic. Yeah. It's the way they achieve it will probably change, but them seeking an independent route will always happen.
Oh yeah, like I get what you're saying. Like we're always going to be. But then again, cultures change, attitudes change. It's very difficult. Yeah, it's very difficult. It's hard. I love philosophy, man. I fucking love philosophy.
It's common.
But yeah, so I don't know. It's like I get what you're saying. Like on some sort of level, they were never. It was so ingrained in Irish culture at the time that we were never going to accept anything less than independence.
Yeah,
and therefore it was going to be inevitable that one way or another we would lead.
The fact that even we dissolved into a civil war really enforces that, because you had so many hardline Republicans that would accept nothing less than 32 county republic. It really kind of showed that, like, for a lot of people here, they wanted one thing and they didn't care how many people had to die, how many walls they had to break through until they got it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they've hit a couple of brick walls. There's still a few walls that have to come down for that.
That was a podcast in itself.
Probably.
How long was that? You could fucking edit in.
We're an hour and 44. So that's total. But that was probably, we were coming up to an hour by the time we diverged.
Yeah, you could just slap in an L intro.
Actually, do you want to just do the quick outro?
Oh, for the other.
Yeah, for the first one.
So 1960. So that's why we believe that.
Right. I think that's everything we have to say about the whole abortion debate. Us two men here telling everyone what there is about abortion.
The last sentence that happened 5 seconds ago was about an hour ago, but we won't go into that.
I'm going to probably phrase that better. But thanks again for everyone for listening. If you're pissed off for this, alright. If you're not pissed off, okay as well.
Rant.
We're not. We're here to express opinion most of the time.
It's not a debate, by the way. I'm not on one side of the debate and Dan on the other. We're just discussing our opinions on a topic. We actually tend to agree on a lot of things. We maybe disagree on certain things.
Ireland's abortion debate.
Don't do that again. You fucking did that last time. Because then I was like, it's not a debate. What's he mean it's a debate? And then Dan goes, oh yeah, I kind of put it in the title. I was like, God damn it.
Can't change it now because then it just looks bad.
But no, I went over... We can cut this out, but I went over and looked at that again, and no, what you did actually made sense. You weren't calling our discussion a debate. The podcast was on. Yeah, so that's fine. You didn't tell me that.
Sorry.
It's back to being fine again.
Great.
No, because
Cool.
initially it was grand. Then it was like, Dan, why? No, but now it's
I
back
thought
to being
it's
grand.
right.
No, because you just said the American gun debate.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Right.
no, that's grand.
Alright, grand. So, alright, so thanks again for everyone for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
For episode 12. See you then.
Grand.
Done. Okay. So it's interesting. You can nearly slap an intro on the Northern Ireland one. I suppose you'd have to listen to it again. It's like, did we say anything really controversial? Nah.
I don't think Northern Ireland, the whole philosophy
Or not even
around
Northern Ireland.
the whole philosophy around conflict, kind of like,
Yeah.
is it just for a nation to kill people for its own independence? Is an interesting thing. It
Yeah, it's interesting. It
Oh,
does
no, it's
sovereignty.
a very interesting debate. Like that.
It's like there's no answer either.
It's also been
Like no
but
objective answer.
the other problem is kind of like the fighting for your right for rule has also been glorified by media.
Yeah.
Like the fact
In
that,
America,
like,
especially with the military.
Take
They glorify the
take
fuck out of
take
it.
Star Wars. The whole like the original 3 films is a rebellion group fighting against a tyrannical empire.
Mm-hmm.
It's the glorification of fighting for the right for rule.
Yeah. It's nations have to. No, I'm talking about like American context, like invading the Middle East for oil. They have to be able to come up with some really compelling, patriotic, nationalistic, like inner desire and drive for average people to walk out to their deaths. Like it's an insane concept when you think about that.
Yeah.
You're walking on a plane out, going to kill other people and then die for fucking oil. It's such a bizarre and insane. It takes a special kind of process to get young people to actually go and do that under this sort of under the scope of nationalism and patriotism.
That's really criticised in 1984 as well.
Yeah.
The whole kind of 3-way conflict between your Oceania, Eurasia, and Europa. With all 3 like super nations essentially come to the agreement that no one wants to rule the world, but if they try to upset the balance, everything will go to hell. So they essentially artificially made a conflict so they can constantly throw resources at to keep to keep their people in check, and to give in into such nationalism they will be in constant warfare.
It's also strangely unifying as well. Or can be.
It also has my favourite uses of a resistance group in a dystopian society, because the Big Brother state recognise that humanity will always have the will to rebel, so we will create a false rebellion to capture the outliers.
Yeah.
Which is like, why hasn't this been used more?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the one thing always like, dystopian society going like, why doesn't no one have the hindsight of that?
Yeah.
Like the hindsight that humanity's natural, we naturally rebel. So why don't we why doesn't a dystopian society compensate for that? All right, we'll create
a red herring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's the whole rebellion. In fact, that's the Matrix series when it comes to it, because the whole, like in the second one, I think you have the architect. They've come to realize that humans will eventually break out every now and again. So you just need to keep enough for this kind of idea of freedom going, that it will allow them to collect the outliers and deal with them. While not upsetting the whole system.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, like if a proper dystopian society truly came to power, we would never have a chance to overthrow it.
No.
Unless you have a massive cultural shift within that government.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why China still has never fully collapsed.
Yeah, but they've brought in their fucking Black Mirror point.
Yeah.
Mad.
But the thing they're doing everything.
Jesus, sorry, this Lucozade is fucking running through my bladder.
Yeah.
It's absolutely just running through.
Oh my god. careful.
Yep. So yeah. See, we nearly an hour on the abortion one.
Yeah, and they're probably down to 40 minutes.
That's not bad. Yeah, there's actually more to cover on it than I thought in the first place. So that's actually grand.
There's so much rant.
Because it seems like it should be fairly straightforward that they're just going to pass the legislation, but nothing's straightforward in this country.
It's fucking abortion. No one can do it. It's not simple.
Even after the fucking referendum, when you think now it'll be simple to pass. But